I've been a huge fan of the BMW 5 Series over the years. In fact, I would say since as a child, I've been seeing plenty of them on the road and I love each one. Every time a new 5 Series is launched, people like to criticize it. It goes into controversies with regards to design or technology, but towards the end of its life cycle, it becomes the best 5 Series that BMW has ever made. And I feel for this latest new generation G60 chassis code that BMW has brought out for 2024, people are again raising eyebrows, asking questions, but I personally feel that it's a great looking car, and when I was given a chance to drive one, I couldn't say no. Welcome everybody then to the 2025 BMW i5 xDrive40. And you're probably thinking, i5? Yes, for this new G60 generation, BMW has indeed made an all-electric version of its popular 5 Series sedan. There are internal combustion engine versions like the 530i, the 550e, which is the plug-in hybrid, and then you have the electric version, which is the xDrive40, and you have the i5 M60, which is the all-out fast electric sedan. But for today, we have the base electric, and I say base, but it's still very well loaded. It's still a very practical car, and I think it's a great starting point to get your feet warm with the whole 5 Series range. Let's see how this executive sedan is. The G30 LCI 5 Series, which was the predecessor to this car, I think was the best looking 5 Series on sale, I would say ever. It's one of my most favorite version of the 5 Series. So to make a car that can still look good compared to that, I think it's a commendable job by BMW. And I think this new G60 still looks very good. Not quite the G30 LCI level, but I still think this looks very, very good. It does look like a minor update to the G30. You do have sleek headlights which have LED and laser units inside, which look very, very good. You do have the big prominent grille, but it's not as big as BMW can make it. And we've seen that in cars like the iX or the M3 and the M4. I think this grille size is just perfect. They don't have to make it any bigger. Smaller can do, but I can't complain. I don't think it's a bad design element. You do have smoked aluminium around the grille, which looks very good. And I say it's a grille, it's not really a grille because it's an electric car. It's not internal combustion, so it doesn't need the air, so it's like a plaque. It doesn't open, it doesn't close. You do have I badge on it, and you do have the BMW slats on the grille to make it look like a grille, which I like a lot. BMW didn't have to over engineer or redesign the electric version of the 5 Series to make it stand out too much, so I think it looks very good. This car also has the M Sport package, so you do have the aggressive sporty bumper design, which I think again looks very, very good. You do have lots of cuts and creases, lots of vent business, and all functional vents, which I like. I'm very presently surprised to report that. You do have a central black unit which looks very good and breaks the monotony of the grey paint. Again, it's just styling elements here and there, makes sure that this vehicle looks very, very cool, very attractive on the road today. You do have a blue halo on the BMW logo, which signifies that this is the electric version or the hybrid version or just a more fuel efficient version compared to the gas versions. You do have bulges on the bonnet because, as I said, these are parts that are shared with the gas versions, and they can't redesign a hood just for the electric version. Having said that, there is no front storage, so this does not open at all, unlike other bespoke electric vehicles. So that's a bit of a downer, but otherwise I think it's a very, very smart looking vehicle. When you come to the side of the i5, I think it's as good looking as the front or the rear. It's very, very attractive, and it does have some bulges and cuts and creases to make sure that it does look very attractive. You do have blacked out side skirts which then extend onto the bottom part of the bumper, which I think is a very neat design feature which does break the monotony of the side profile as well. You do have blacked out window surrounds as well, and 5 embossed on the C pillar to help you identify which car this is. I think this is the 7 Series, and perhaps an all new 3 Series whenever it comes out will probably get the same thing as well. What complements the side profile are these beautiful 20-inch wheels, which are an option when the standard wheels are something else. But if I were to buy this car, I would perhaps spec it with these wheels because they really, really enhance the side profile and the overall stance of the car. So kudos to whoever spec this car. I think it really complements the side profile. You do have a blacked out roof as well because it is a glass panel. It's not really a sunroof, so it doesn't really pop out. And you do have old school grabs handles as well. I know BMW is moving away from the pull handles and moving to this grab handle because the i7 had it, this i5 has it, the X2 also had it, which is all the recent BMWs that I've driven in recent times. So I think it does look very good because it sits very flush with the body line, and it's something that BMW is trying to bring back the retro touches, and I think they've done a really, really good job. Overall, the 5 Series looks amazing from the side. When you come to the rear of the all new G60 i5, I think again it's very subtle, but it's got lots of cuts and creases to help you identify that this is one of the better looking cars on the road. You do have basic badging, the i5 badge, the BMW with the blue halo, and the xDrive40 badge. You do have a very small lip spoiler as well, which I like a lot, and I think that's part of the M Sport package, which then also brings you this very aggressive diffuser looking addition to the bumper, which I am not a very big fan of, and I'll tell you why. You do have cutouts on the sides of the bumper which look like they're cut, but this being an EV, there are no exhaust, so it's just kind of a hollow cutout which looks very empty, looks in fact incomplete, it looks unfinished, and that is kind of my sore point of the whole design of the whole car. I mean, maybe if they just gave it like a flat curving end to the bottom bumper, it would have perhaps looked much more complete. So the fact that you have this kind of vent sort of cutouts for the exhaust, I don't like that, and maybe BMW could have just altered that for the electric version. You do have sleek LED taillights which look amazing at night, and they look really good, and it adds to the whole minimalist theme that this car wants to put out. But yeah, overall I would say that barring that little diffuser exhaust cutout design element which I don't like, the rear is also very appealing. Since being a sedan, access to the boot, and it opens up and you get access to a huge boot. I believe this is a 550 or almost 600 liter boot, which is huge by sedan standards, and I only have one backpack and I'm barely utilizing the capacity that this car can provide. And you do have some under storage as well which you can put in, and this car currently has the charging cable inside, but you can remove that and add some more small knickknacks, which just makes this car even more practical. What can I say? BMW has really made the new 5 Series generation so appealing in the design and practical at the. I'm not of the 2025 BMW i5, and if you've been in other new BMWs, this will feel just like home. You do have the curved screen which I like a lot. It's got lovely resolution, the touch response is amazing, wireless CarPlay, Android Auto. It's just so much fun to just toy around with it. I don't like the touch control ACs yet. I still hate it. I wish that they could have maybe provided a physical button like the older BMWs. So because when you're driving, changing temperature and fan speed can be a bit annoying. Barring that, the whole experience is very nice. The speedometer cluster is very cool, very nice. The graphics are so fluid, so liquid that it does not lag at all. You have a huge heads-up display as well for more information if you need it, and you have this lovely 3-spoke steering, which is again becoming now a standard in all the M Sport BMW. But all the other cars that I've driven so far had the panels on the steering in bright aluminium. This is a smoked finish which I like a lot, and obviously you do have the build unit in the very good, and in this smoked form it does look very good. It is a thick steering, 3-spoke, and you do have only one paddle behind your left arm, which is the boost paddle. No paddle shifters because no gearbox, but this one boost paddle is very nice, provides you over boost for 10 seconds. You do have this fabulous ambient lighting as well, which also changes. So if I change the drive mode and if I say put it into sport, it changes into red, which feels so cool, and at night it just enhances the appeal of the whole driving experience. If I put it into expressive, it changes again. You know, it just feels so good. The transition is so beautiful, and the brightness and everything is just top notch. It plays a huge part in uplifting the whole ambience of the interior. You do have this lovely grey wood, which again is customizable. When you do want your own car, you can select a host of different finishes you want, and I really like this grey wood a lot. Has this very natural wood feel. It almost feels like it's been freshly brought out from a cut tree. You do have a wireless charger, 2 cup holders, 2 Type-C ports as well, and then you have this sort of like a floating design center console with the gear selector, a rotary knob to flicker through the screen, volume control, seek track, and the My Modes button, which you can then select whichever driving mode you want to select on. You do have a center armrest as well. You can store stuff, and overall even the seats are very comfortable. You do have the memory seats which you can use on the touch panel on the door, and I have to also compliment the spec of the interior. So I'm not sure if the camera can capture it, but it's a dual tone interior. So you do have black with dark purple finish, which looks very good, and it has lovely cross stitching on the seats as well. And the seats are also comfort seats, which are an option, so they are really comfortable, and they do the job that they are named after. You'd have lovely lumbar support as well. No massage seats, which is a bit shocking at this price point. But overall, it's again, as I said, typical BMW interior, which just feels so premium and feels so good when you're behind the wheel. I'm now in the rear seat of the new 5 Series chassis, the G60, the i5, and I think there's enough room for me. I'm 5'8" and I have lots of place to tuck in my feet under the seat. Headroom is really not a problem. My knees have lots of room. Having said that, the seat back has been scooped out for more knee room, but there are no seat back pockets, so a bit of a downer there. I wish they had that seat back pockets. You do have AC vents as well and a small storage to keep maybe smaller phones and 2 Type-C ports. No digital control for the air temperature, which is a bit of a downer as well, which is the same problem I had in its competition, the E-Class. You do have big windows as well, but no blinds, which is again a downer at this price point. You would expect the car of this price to have at least manual blinds. You do have this lovely cutout for the Bowers and Wilkins system, which again sounds fantastic, and you do have similar cutouts on the front door as well. Really enhances the appeal of the whole interior. The purple dual tone theme, which I mentioned, the front is more obvious in the back, and I think it looks fantastic. Being an EV, you would expect that it wouldn't have a big transmission hump, but yes, this does. And because it is shared the same platform with the gas powered cars, and those have it, so they can't just remove it from one of the cars in their lineup. So I understand why it's there, but it is a bit unnecessary. You do have a third headrest, so the third passenger is welcome, but if the third passenger is not there, you can definitely open this armrest, 2 cup holders as well, and overall the experience isn't bad. I do feel that under thigh support is a bit lacking for the rear passengers. The backrest incline angle is perfect, but under thigh support could have been better. And also this glass, although it is very big, it's a panoramic glass and it feels very nice and lends in a lot of light, it does not open, so it's a fixed glass. You can open and close the blinds electronically from the front, but that's about it, and that's a bit of a downer as well. But otherwise, the experience in the back isn't too bad. I would just expect maybe 1 or 2 more features for the rear passengers just to feel that much more cocooned and welcome. I'm now behind the wheel of the 2025 i5 xDrive40. So let's get the numbers out of the way. This has a roughly 85 kilowatts per hour battery. 2 electric motors combined produce about 390 horsepower. Is xDrive, so which means it's all-wheel drive. The claimed range is about 430-ish odd kilometers in ideal scenarios, but we are far from ideal scenarios. It's been snowing, raining, sub-zero temperatures. In fact, right now as I speak, it's -2, which is really an electric vehicle's biggest enemy. So let's see how this car drives. Slot it into drive and we set off. And I am right now in the efficient mode. Power is really not that bad. You never really have to floor it. You have all the instant torque available at the disposal of your right foot at all times. It's actually very relaxed, and it is actually very easy to get accustomed and get very comfortable to drive this vehicle. I've been driving this vehicle for a week now in a mix of highways, cities, snowstorms even, and it's just been so manageable. Yes, this is a very long car. It is longer than you think, and it does feel bigger when you're in the driving seat, but it's very easy. The steering is very light, very maneuverable. It does not have rear wheel steering, so the turning radius is a bit compromised because of that. Having said that, the steering itself is very quick. The rack is very fast. You can make quick direction changes very easily, and you do have different drive modes as well. So as I said, you can just turn in and it's so smooth. You can do drive modes, and I can try to launch this, and if I put it into sport, it does turn off the traction control. The side lumbers get tighter, and if I floor it with the boost, and it just moves, and you have all 390 odd horsepower, and that was 100 in under 6 seconds, which is fast enough for daily use. Honestly, you do not need more power than that. The brakes are very nice, very big. The brake pedal feel, it does not feel unnatural in any way, and you do have regen as well. So if I put it into another mode of the gear selector, it selects the B mode, and it's almost like one pedal drive. You really do not have to touch the brake pedal at all. I can go back into efficient, and the lumbers also just relax a little bit. They're not holding me as tightly.
But yeah, the ride is also very good. It's running on 20-inch wheels, but you do not feel anything. It does have the adaptive suspension. So in the efficient mode or the normal mode, it's so comfortable. Even in sport mode, it's very manageable, even on Toronto roads. So it's commendable on how BMW has tuned the whole suspension of this car to utmost perfection, if I can say. And I'm very excited to see that this new 5 Series is so good dynamically, because it just makes me want to try the other powertrains that are available on this chassis. Honestly, I feel like they're just going to be that much more fun. It's just been such a joy driving this vehicle. Now, coming to the range, as I said, the claim range is 430, but with this 0 degrees and even actually -8, -7 degrees where I've been living, I think I can get about 280, 300, roughly 320 kilometers on a charge, which is okay. It's not the world's worst range. And yes, the BMW assistant does interrupt me a lot, but it's not the worst range, it's not the best range. It is quite far from the claimed range, but I do understand that electric vehicles just do not work in sub-zero temperature. So I'd like to forgive the i5 based on that factor. Otherwise, the range has been decent and it just cruises so effortlessly in all conditions. It's such a beautiful driving car.
In conclusion, then, the 2025 BMW i5 xDrive 40. Honestly, it's my first time driving an all electric 5 Series and I haven't been disappointed. I think it's a great car and it just goes on to show that a regular 5 Series can also be practical for your day-to-day commutes. Yes, the range isn't the best, and as I said, the claimed 420 range in an ideal situation is not the highest, but you do have a higher range version if you want, and a higher performance model, which is the M60, if you're willing to pay the big bucks for it. Otherwise, it's a traditional 5 Series, which means I think it looks amazing. The interior is amazing. It's immensely practical for the front and the rear. The boot is also huge and it does drive really, really well. Being an electric, you do have the instant torque, which just adds to the fun factor just that much more. At $83,000 for this base i5 xDrive 40, I think it's decent value if you compare it to, say, a equivalent E-Class or a Lexus ES or an Audi A6, but they do not have an all-electric version just quite out yet. So this is literally in a segment of its own. This very car, however, is $97,000, and this does have lots of options. So you do have the illuminated grille, the wheels, the interior paint shade, the adaptive cruise, the comfort seats, and just lots of options here and there, because you know BMW is famous slash infamous for their options. So all out is 97, and that's a bit on the steeper side, but well, BMW still has given you the scope that if you want more performance and more range, you can upgrade to the M60. Honestly, driving this i5 for the week has been a great experience, and honestly, it has rekindled my love for the whole 5 Series lineage.